that's good. Now
Yeah,
here I am,
yeah.
10 years later, you actually made it.
It's been a fun ride, that's for sure. I'll tell
Yeah,
you.
good 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I left this channel. I went 5 years in Berkeley, and then for 7 years I produced outside the studio.
Okay.
So
okay.
17 years in the studio, 7 years outside studio, and now they moved the studio back here from Market to San Francisco. So now they're rebuilding the studio next door. Meanwhile, we use a flash studio, but I'm happy to be back in front of the camera rather than behind the camera.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, so...
Well, when I met you, you were doing this, but you said you left this for a while.
Yeah, I left it for 7 years. There was just... there was so many changes in the management and all that.
Sure.
And then I came back, and now it feels comfortable again.
Oh, good, good.
It was good because I learned how to do 3 to 5 segments outside of myself, like outside different events, rather than me finding people and matching them or things like that. But anyway, I'm happy to be back, and I'm glad I kept your card. You probably didn't keep mine.
I
right?
think I actually have your card. When you
did?
called, it showed up and your name showed up. So I have you in my
it's
contact
computerized?
Yes, I have you in my contact database, and I
Perfect.
remembered you when you called. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
I'm glad you called too.
Thank you. I'm really happy you remembered me. I thought maybe he's not going to even remember me.
In fact, when you called, I was in the middle of shooting the last film, and so that's why I wasn't able to get back to you until just last week, or the other day. But or you called me a second time.
Oh,
I was about to call you. You were on my call list.
Oh, I called you once 4 weeks ago?
You called me once 4 weeks ago, and I was literally in the middle of the shoot. It was a kind of a challenging shoot. I was working probably 16-hour days for 45 straight days.
Oh, I didn't give up on you then.
You did not. And you called, and it was towards the end of the shoot, and I've only been back 2.5 weeks now, and you're on my list. And literally, I think you called yesterday,
right?
And you were on my list of callbacks. I had about a dozen people I wanted to get back to, and you're on the list. So, you beat me to it.
So now that let's say you're comfortable and you feel good that you went in that direction, what's your outlook on life? Do you see things differently about people, or are you the same?
I think I'm still very much the same. I know I'm blessed to be in this business.
You have more possibilities, maybe?
I do. I mean, it's tough making a living doing films, and I'm just fortunate enough to have had 2 large theatrical releases that have afforded me the ability to continue to make films.
Okay. And, because it took me a year to raise $200,000 for that. So I know how hard it is.
It's very difficult, and I thank every day that I have this opportunity to make films. I have 2 coming out this year. This one will come out sometime next year, and I'm going into pre-production.
And now your name is better known, maybe?
It is. In the horror film business, it is.
Okay.
Typically, when I do a genre film, something that's thriller, horror...
It's for teenagers and stuff?
Yes, I can, the funding is a little bit easier. I've gotten distribution on all my films.
Nice.
And so I've got good contacts in the distribution arena, and that's really important. So yeah, it's been fun.
Would you say that 70% of your audiences are teenagers?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I'd say at least 70% are teenagers.
Do you have teenagers of your own?
I don't. My wife is. She had kids when she was very young, so her children now are 27 years old.
Okay,
and 20.
So they passed the teenagers.
They have passed the teenager age. Although the 27-year-old has moved back in with us, so that's a treat.
Oh.
If you call it a treat, maybe a surprise.
Okay, so maybe you kept that young mind when you were a teenager yourself?
I think so. I think
is that
so.
what it is then?
Yeah,
You still like these kind of things? You didn't go into the being like this lady coming up, the spirituality.
Well, no. With that said, I'm not a huge fan of horror movies.
You don't go to.
I do not go. I see them to see what's out there
Okay.
and to watch and see who's making
What's
what.
and if it's
Exactly, to keep my
successful or
finger
not.
on the pulse of what's going on out there. But I'm actually not a huge fan of horror. Haven't been.
How-
Even when I started Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I hadn't seen the movie
Ah.
until I got involved in acquiring the rights, and then I went and watched it.
Is
And
it really horror?
it is. The one
Oh.
I did was quite, I would say it's pretty horrific.
Oh, okay.
And then the prequel was quite horrific as well. It's something I wouldn't recommend. And I've got a Daniel Baldwin movie coming out in the end of this month, actually.
Baldwin?
Yeah, it's one of the Baldwin brothers. I shot about a year and a half ago. It took us a while to finally get it in the can, but that is another typical slasher movie that's coming out on Comcast, actually, the end
Wow.
of June, and Time Warner Cable picked it up as well. And
Can you sit through a horror film from A to Z? Or
I
is it-
can,
it's
I
hard?
can. It's not that hard. It's just that I'm not
I mean,
a
if you
huge
see
fan
blood
of
and
them.
stuff, and
I don't have a problem with it.
You
I mean,
don't-
I enjoy it, I think, as much as I guess some of the other fans
Dracula
were.
and all that stuff.
Yeah, I enjoy being frightened from time to time.
Oh, okay.
But it's not my favorite genre by any means. It's just a genre that I've been associated with now. Since
Okay.
they always say from the producer of Texas Chainsaw Massacre presents, and so I've done a vampire movie. I've done other horror movies. My least successful movie actually was a romantic drama
hmm
that I shot about 3 years ago. I was just the executive producer on there, but had a stake on the distribution side. And we had a fairly recognizable actor, Scout Taylor Compton,
Okay.
and that's one movie that it was probably one of the movies I'm probably most proud of, yet was least commercially successful
Okay.
because it was a romantic drama.
Oh.
So-
And can I ask you what are your favorite movies then, since it's not this?
Yes, I like action movies. I actually like a lot of Quentin Tarantino movies as well. Pulp
Okay.
Fiction
Okay.
is probably one of my favorite movies. No Country for Old Men is one of my favorite movies as
So
well.
you do like action?
I do, and,
Okay.
and I'm kind of a fan of Michael Bay movies. Not
Okay.
because I produced a movie with him, but I like. I
When
like
you were a
action movies.
teenager, you used to watch a lot of
I
action
did,
films?
and occasionally I still do. I like the Marvel comic movies as well. I actually have a Marvel comic character that I'm producing.
Really?
So less of an action figure, more of a Shrek type figure.
Okay.
But a friend of mine, Ralph Winter, produced the Fantastic Four series, an X-Men series. So I got to go up on set, and I enjoy those movies as well.
Yeah, it's funny that we age physically, like I have white hair and we
Yes, yes.
gain weight and all that, but our minds stay young. Did you notice that?
I did.
I mean, we don't age. I mean, I feel the same as in my mind as when I was 18. Maybe I'm more wise, maybe.
Yeah,
But
you
I
are.
still make a lot of mistakes, just like when I was young. And so, in other words, we are what we are. We stay who we are.
Absolutely. When I was younger, when I was in my teens, I
Yeah.
thought when I would approach 50 years of age, I thought, boy, that is old. And now I'm approaching 50 years old. I feel young. I feel vibrant.
Yeah.
I feel, like you said, I feel like I think the same way as I did when I was in my 20s.
Plus, now that you're successful, you're even more young.
Yes.
I mean, because you don't have to worry about money anymore. So therefore, your only worry is to enjoy life like a child.
Yes, we have a different perspective on life now. I think once you appreciate what you have when you become older. I appreciate just living every day to
Yeah.
the fullest.
Just like a child, like
yeah.
doesn't worry about
Yes.
money.
My
Yeah.
parents, my father just turned 90. My
Oh.
mother just turned 80.
Oh,
My
that's
grandmother
long.
just
So you-
recently passed away at 108. And so,
So
I
there's
start
a
to see
long
that. There is
genes
longevity in my
in your family.
family, but at the same time, I'm starting to see some of my family members get older, and
You can see the
yeah,
transition.
you can, and I now really appreciate
the-
every day.
The youth that you have.
I do.
Well,
And-
stay young, exercise, eat
yes,
well,
I try.
don't work too hard.
I try.
That's the recipe.
That is the recipe.
And the recipe is also to be a child too. I mean, it's to be in connection with like children, they're in connection with the divine, and so So when we don't worry about money, then we can be in connection.
That is true. That is true. It's just a frame of mind. It's all perspective. I know lots of people who actually have lots more money than I do, and lots more things, and aren't necessarily enjoying life day to day.
Really?
And yes, yeah.
Okay. Have you ever written a book yourself? I mean, a film?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
That's not your
That's not my
strong
thing
point.
right now. My strength is putting all the parts of the film together
Okay.
and making it happen.
So that's your strong point.
That is.
That's your strength.
Exactly, because I'm a businessman, really,
Okay.
and so
So
making
you
a
are like
film-
the executive guy.
Exactly.
You do this, I take care of this.
Exactly, and I know
Okay.
how to do it now, and I enjoy doing it.
And you know all the facets of it.
Exactly, and you need to have that to have a successful film, because there are a lot of great stories out there, and there are a lot of great storytellers, but if you don't have the producer or the team behind you to make
guide.
that happen.
Oh yeah, it's like putting the puzzles together,
Exactly.
the pieces together.
Like the last film I worked on, Liar's All, my friend had written the script 8-9 years ago, wanted to make a large movie out of it,
Okay.
and approached me every year for the last 8 years. Oh, I want to do this for $40 million. Can we do it? And I said, well, it's really difficult to raise $40 million in this market. And a few years later, it's how about for 30 million? And then a couple of years ago was, let's
20.
do this for 20, exactly. And then he, we were talking about it, and about a year ago, he said, well, I'm trying to, I've got this producer, and he's doing an international fund and UK
Would you like
production.
to join?
Would you like to join? Or how feasible is it to do it for 5 to 10 million? I said, you're going to spend $1 million just in legal fees putting together all those components, and it's not going to happen.
And all that.
It just isn't going to happen. And you're a first-time director as well. And he goes, well, how am I going to make this happen? I said, I've told you for many years, let's just do this for under $1 million, because you can make a film for under $1 million. I said, yes, you can make a lot of film for under $1 million.
With not all the legalities.
Yeah, we were still union, and we still have, some big actors that are doing $40-50 million movies, but they're with the right script, and they were really all enticed by this script. They hopped in, paid them union scale rates, which is $9.33 a week. Oh. And we give them some profit participation and some back end.
And what was the budget?
The budget was just under $1 million.
And he went for it?
And he went for it. I mean, he had no option.
He wanted to do it.
He wanted
so
to do it. And with that said, we did it for under $1 million, but the production value, I think people, when they see it, it's going to look like a $5 to $10 million film. We had 2 cameras. We shot for 30 days. We shot in London. We shot in Los Angeles.
And
we
still
had
were
20
able
different
to
locations.
Do A to Z?
We did. We're still editing it right now. We have first-class crew. All of our crew have worked on much larger films. So basically, I call in favors.
Oh, okay.
I say, well, you work for me. We'll pay you. We won't pay you a great
on the
amount.
back end, yeah.
We'll pay you maybe some on the back end, but we'll pay you a living wage. We'll feed you well. We have nicely catered. And,
okay.
We took
well,
care
I
of
heard
them.
George Lucas produced a film on digital. You heard about that, right?
Yes, yeah. Well, we did it digitally too.
Okay.
Digitally, in the sense we shot it on the red camera.
I see the red one.
Yes,
okay.
Versus shooting it on film. And that in itself
saves a lot of money.
Saves a lot of money.
Okay.
Film,
and the quality is good.
The quality is great. It's actually higher resolution than film.
Really?
So it's
a lot of people like that camera for some reason.
The camera itself is not very expensive, but we were using Zeiss prime lenses that are cost over $200,000, and it's all in the lenses. And
was that rental then?
Yes, everything's rental.
Okay.
So we rented over $1 million worth of equipment
oh my God.
to shoot this film.
For 1 month.
For 1 month.
Oh wow! It's better than buying because everything gets outdated if you
absolutely,
buy.
Absolutely. No, filmmakers don't buy. Even the large studios, they rent out their equipment because we rented from Universal
because
Studios.
they know a new version is going to come out next
year. They do.
Okay.
They do, and so unless you're actually a camera operator, you don't want to buy your equipment. And if you're a camera operator and you own your equipment, there's business in that in itself, because you can rent yourself out and your equipment to a production, and as a package deal, and sometimes we'll do that. But we went to a large rental house and just rented all of our trucks and cameras.
Wonderful. I'm glad to hear that, because I went to the